Hello, I'm Amy Zawi with the Jerusalem Connection Friday Red Alert Report for April 28th, Remembrance. This past Monday, April 24th, was the Yom HaShoah, Day of Remembrance for Holocaust survivors, in particular the poorest ones, and a reflection on the heinous events of the last century to reflect and remember. I was overwhelmed when I saw footage of all of Israel coming to a stop at 10 a.m. local time as a moment of collective remembrance and reflection for the horrors that the European Jews endured and whose survivors and descendants can now see and feel and live in the promised land of Israel. An interesting set of circumstances to illustrate the attitude behind the Holocaust are it has not been snuffed out completely, but is still burning in either embers or flames around the world. For example, last week, 2 Israeli tourists in Australia went into a piercing shop, and the owner pointed out a sign that read, "No Israelis served here." These 2 young women also posted this sign on social media. The shop owner went on to say that he does not serve any Israelis out of quote-unquote principle, as he does not agree with the governmental policies of Israel in the Middle East. These women went on to explain that this is simply a form or a new form of anti-Semitism. Why this self-proclaimed man of principle does not also have a sign that says we don't serve Iranians, we don't serve Chinese, we don't serve Saudis, we don't serve Somalis, all who have governments that clearly have questionable ethics and have violated human rights, and this is documented. By his own logic, he would have to put up all these signs because he should be disagreeing with their governments as well. However, only the Israelis have their perceived governmental ills refocused and projected onto each Jewish person individually, and people seem to accept the fact that this is an okay form of discrimination and prejudice. We don't say no Iranians, no Chinese, no Somalis, because this would be discriminatory and prejudicial and certainly against the law, and no reasonable person would pin the actions of any particular government on any particular person who happens to be of national or ethnic identity with said government. This trick of claiming anti-Zionism or anti-Israel objections to their policies is just a veiled attempt of cloaking their overall anti-Semitism, even to the point of spinning what the government actually does or the conditions that exist in the land. So as we reflect on this idea of never again in the wake of Holocaust Remembrance Day, we still have remnants of survivors not only of the Holocaust, but the spirit that has projected the hate onto these people and the animosity and the accusations against the Jewish people as a whole. One of the manifestations of this spirit is called BDS, the Boycott, Divest, and Sanction movement, which is anti-Israel and claims to be against governmental policies to skirt the overall intention and evidence that their initial goal is to annihilate the Jews in general, especially those located in the Middle East. Moreover, at Claremont University in California, on the 6th day of Passover, which also coincided with the Christian Easter Sunday, the student government called for a last-minute vote on BDS sanctions to be passed at the student body. This was a slap in the face to observant Jews, upon which this BDS directive was clearly measured, as well as to the Christian community, as this is a holy day for them as well. It was clearly a strike against the Judeo-Christian tradition in general, and I would say at the very best a mild insult, and at the very worst a backhanded assault to religious and observant students on campus. Another study released by the Tel Aviv University this past Sunday noted that researchers found that overall anti-Semitic actions and events globally are down 12% between 2015 and 2016. This is attributed to a lot of increased security measures, particularly in Europe. However, among college campuses, in particular U.S. college campuses, anti-Semitism was on the rise by 45% in terms of counts of incidences. These incidences included particular events of harassment and bullying against Jewish students. These numbers are quite disturbing in the wake, as I said, of the never again mantra that all of the news media has rightly been advertising in the last week, as we remember the Holocaust and the horrible events of last century, and again address the fact that it mustn't happen ever again, and that we must be ever vigilant to make sure it doesn't happen ever again. So don't let these little news stories about events on college campuses or votes or activities in various communities slide under your radar as just isolated incidents. They are indeed a measure of the same evil spirit that has been trying to undermine the Jewish people since the days of Esther. So let's keep praying and supporting the nation of Israel. Next week is the Christian Solidarity event in Washington, D.C. with the Israeli embassy. We should all be praying for productive outcome of that summit and a prayerful time of reflection to support our Israeli brothers and sisters around the world and in their nation state, as well as be praying for Jewish people worldwide. Shavua Tov. Have a great week. Shabbat Shalom.